Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about for loops. Now this is going to be quite complicated, so just bear with me. You might have to rewatch the video a few times to really pick this up, and just practice quite a bit and you'll start to remember it. What we're going to start with is a list. I know I've not told you about lists yet, but just trust me with this. So we're going to say numbers equals, just follow along, 1, 4, 2, 6, 5. You can really put any random combination of numbers in here, do whatever you want, and then like just anything like this, you can make it as long or small as you want, and you gotta have numbers like this. This is called a list, and we've just made a list called numbers. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna say for. Now to write a for loop, it's for condition, but there's more to it than just the condition. So I'm not actually gonna put condition, I'm gonna put for something colon code. That's kind of how this will work. It's more than just a condition. We're going to say for x in, and then we're going to put numbers. Now, I know this is quite complicated. Just bear with me. We're then going to print x. Now, if we run this, you'll actually see that it's printed 1, 4, 2, 6, 4, 7, 4, 5. It's printed every single number in this list, just on a different line. What we're actually doing here is we're saying for x. Now, this can actually be A, and then you can print A. This can be anything. This is just what we're going to call the index. Really, this is what we're going to call the number it's on. So we're just going to call it X, for X, in numbers, and numbers is the list. We're going to print X. Now, what this is actually doing is it will go through the first item in the list, which is number 1, and assign X, and assign number 1 to the variable X. This is a variable, believe it or not. I know it looks complicated, it is a variable, but it's only used within this for loop scope. We're not really going to talk about scopes in the series, but it's basically just it can only be used in this for loop. It can't be used up here. We can't say print x up here. That won't work. And we also can't break out of the for loop and then say print x either. That also won't work. It only works within this for loop. Anyway, and then what it does is it assigns x to the number, and then it'll print it, and then it'll add 1, and so it'll go to the next item in the list, so which is number 4. As I said, we will talk about lists in the future a bit more, and then it'll assign 4 to x, and so on. Now, let's remove all of this, and let's say for x. So once again, we're going to do that same for x in structure, but rather than saying the name of this loop, list, we're actually going to say, we're going to do quotation marks, and we're going to write a string here. This can be hello there, or something like that, and colon print x. And if we run this, this is going to be quite strange. It'll print hello there, everything on a different line. What it's doing is running through each character in the string, assigning the first, so we're assigning h to x, assigning e to x afterwards, and we're printing it all off each line. And we can actually just make another, if we could say string equals hello there, and then say for x in string, and it'll do the exact same thing. Okay, there is something called break, which looks like this, and that will break out of the for loop. It'll completely stop it. So we should say print x, and then we'll say if x equals, now this is called nesting. We're going to go into all of this in more detail. Now, I know for loops are really confusing by the looks of them. You'll eventually pick it up as we go through the series, trust me. Now, if x equals L in hello, so when it equals L, then we are going to break. And once we, and you know what, we'll just see what that does, okay? So we'll click run, and then run module. And you see it gets down to HEL, and then it breaks. Now, what would happen? The reason why it's breaking is because it's stopping the for loop. It's moving on. Let's actually have print for loop is finished here. Right, now let's save that, and then run it, and you'll say for loop is finished. Now we can actually have under this break, let's say print this is a new line, or something like that. Now we run, you say HEL, and it's got, this is a new line until the for loop is finished, right? We've broken it. So this isn't actually working on the third time because we break out of it before. What if we said, rather than break, continue? What continue actually does is it will break out of just this if statement. It'll break out of just one loop. and continue. It'll still continue the for loop. It would just break it. So we could say print hello, and then here we'll print. After this continue, we'll print there. And now if we save this and click run, you'll see we actually get an error. No, that is a lie. It's because I pressed the wrong thing. So you'll see it says hello. This is a new line there. And what it's doing is it's saying this hello there, printing a hello there. But obviously this actually looks incredibly weird because of the way we have laid this out. Let's remove this print there. We're doing this for okay. Yeah, so now let's just continue. And as you can see, it says hello there. It finishes the whole thing. And it's saying hello up until the O. That's because it's not equal to L anymore. And we're continuing, so we've broken out of the if statement into the for loop. I know this is really complicated. Just the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Okay, we're going to do something a bit easier now. What we're going to do now is for x in range. And here we're going to put, let's say 10, print x. Now we're going to save this and we're going to hit run and then run module. And it just says 0 to 9. This is a lot easier to understand. Once again, now what this range is saying is it's basically counting up to 10. So it's going to repeat this 10 times. It will repeat this for loop 10 times. So the first time x will be equal to 0. The second time it'll increment by 1 and be equal to 1. Second time it'll be 2. So we can make this if x, for x in range 256. And then run it, and it'll print 0 to 255, as you can see. And there we go. That's because it always starts at 0 as well. We could say for x plus 1 in range, and then you'd get this error here saying that you actually can't assign the operator, and that is because we are trying to declare a variable. We're trying to define a variable here. You can say print x plus 1. That would work. And then it would start at 1 and finish on 256 if you really wanted it to do that. Anyway, that's a bit easier to grasp. Now, what you can actually do is, if you want it to start at a certain number, so let's say we want it to start at 3 and end at 10, well, it will end at 9, it doesn't include 10. If you then run this, let's click save, it will say 3 to 9. That's because if we put this comma here, we are saying we want it to start at 3, so this is the starting number. And we want it to count to 10, but obviously it goes below 1. It's minus 1, so it'll go to 9. Now, this is actually helpful if we said 1 to 256. Obviously, it still wouldn't do it. We'd have to put 257 if we wanted to count to 256. And then it'll go from 1 to 256, as you can see. And, yeah. So that's pretty cool as well. Okay, now, as you've been seeing, we've been incrementing x by 1 each time. Let's say we want x to start at 5 and count up to 1000, but we don't want it to increment by 1, we want it to increment by 5. We just put a second comma and a third number, and this third number is how much we want it to increment by or increase by. That's how much we want x to increase by each time. So now if we hit run, you can see it counts up in 5s all the way to 995. Obviously it doesn't go to 1000, it goes 5 below, because it goes this many below 1000. Which, yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, we can actually use an else here on this for loop, and I know that sounds quite weird, but what this else will basically be ran once this range is complete. So once it reaches 995, or as high as it can go, it will run this else. So we could then say print, we have finished the for loop. Now if we run this, you can see it goes to 995, we have finished the for loop. And we can then break out of it as well. And then if we said print exclamation mark down here, you can see, and obviously when we break out, what we are doing is breaking outside the loop. We're trying to break out of an else here, and we can't do that. We'd have to put the break inside the for up here, but put an if statement. So we'd have to be like, the way we could do it is we'd say like, if x, no, let's say if 1000, because that's our maximum number, minus 5, because that's how much we're incrementing by, is equal to x, then break and things like that. Okay, the thing with for loops is they cannot be empty. You always have to have something in them. If we run this, we'll get an error. We have to have something in here. But if, let's just put print down here, print high, and run it again, as you can see, it will still give us an error. So there has to always be something in the print. Now, if for whatever reason, I don't know why, you didn't have anything in here, and you didn't need anything in here, and for whatever reason you didn't want to get rid of the for loop, you can just type in pass, and it'll skip the loop and print hi. So if you type in pass, it will just forget the for loop exists, basically, and just skip to all the code below it. So that's basically all I wanted to show you today. I know this is quite complex and complicated and confusing, but with good practice you'll get there. By the end of the series you should understand all of this pretty well. So thanks for watching this one, everyone. There will probably be quite a few questions. If there are, let me know in the comments, or join our Discord server where you can get an almost instant reply because we're on there so often. Link is in description to that. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and goodbye.